My daughter is blaming me for her pregnancy and want me to raise her child, as she sees her child as her sibling. My daughter has gone totally insane. She left my house to live with her transgender partner in a homeless camp. She first came out to me at 17 as non-binary, but only sometimes. Some days she was neither gender, other days she was a girl. I feel this is where things started to go wrong. 2 years later, she randomly announced she was 4 months pregnant and blamed me for it, saying it was my fault for not putting her on hormone blockers. I was in disbelief, but then she said something even more ridiculous. She viewed the baby as a sibling and expected me to raise it as my own, claiming it was my duty because I didn't accept her non-binary state. As soon as she said that, I grew sterner. I said, "Congratulations, Mommy. You have some hard decisions to make." And I also made it clear I would absolutely not raise her baby for her. She didn't respond and instead ran upstairs and locked herself in her room, where she stayed for 12 hours. Update. 1. In the middle of the night, she packed some clothes and decided to stay with a friend, who I suspected was the baby's father. Before she left, she told me she had called the police to inform them she was leaving of her own free will, as if I would report a 19-year-old as a runaway. I told her she needed to work out the details if she wanted to raise the child with the father, and that she was welcome back home when she had a plan in place. Update 2. My daughter and her partner wanted to talk to me in a public place, so we chose IHOP. Although I suspected I knew who her lover was, I was disappointed to find out it was the only friend of hers I ever had a problem with. They are trans now, but a year ago, when they were all 18, this friend would make obnoxious noises and gestures whenever I was around. I kicked him out after he pretended to pleasure himself in my kitchen. At IHOP, this nut donor, as I now call him, launched an attack. He accused me of poisoning my daughter by making her take birth control and blamed me for not giving her hormones, even though I had no idea that was what she wanted. He also said I was treating her like garbage by not taking care of the baby while she fixed herself. My daughter just sat and glared at me, nodding along with him. When I asked why he couldn't take care of the baby, he said his parents were worse than me and that he was homeless. I told them I wouldn't raise their baby and suggested adoption as the best option. They threatened that if I didn't agree, they would make sure I never saw the baby. I felt worried, angry, and sad all at once. Update 3. A couple of weeks later, I came home from grocery shopping to find a strange pregnant woman at my door. It was my daughter, but she had changed so much she was like a stranger. She had several face tattoos and looked like she had aged 20 years. She had been living rough and was angry I had locked her out. I let her in and she talked non-stop about her new community without gender expectations, where she and others, including biological men, would carry the next generation of new people. She was the worst house guest. She didn't clean up after herself, didn't flush the toilet, ate everything, and demanded I take her out to restaurants. When I finally got her to focus, she told me she expected the baby in mid-July, which was later than she initially said. She lied about being under a doctor's care. When she went into labor, it was a complete disaster. She hadn't been to the doctor once during her pregnancy. At the hospital, she became hateful towards the staff, saying the worst things imaginable. Despite her behavior, the nurses and doctors were saints. Miraculously, the baby was born healthy. She didn't want me in the room during the birth and left the hospital without checking out or saying goodbye. Because the hospital is a safe surrender point, she won't be charged with abandonment. The baby is now in the foster system, which is probably better than living in the camp. I know my daughter is not well. She's in a cult and probably in danger, but she's also selfish and a liar. I'm ashamed of her behavior and worried about her future children. She treated the hospital staff with such cruelty that it showed me she thinks other people are below her. I'm just there to serve her whenever she needs me. She knew she would be giving birth soon and came home expecting me to take care of her. The second she didn't need me or the baby, she left. I haven't written her off completely, but I'm blocked again. I'm thinking long and hard about boundaries and possibly moving. I'm worried about finding a bunch of cult members on my porch one day. I don't know what to do.